It's not just memory. It's been rewritten.
A Tesla? You've really lost it, Doc.
It's got autopilot, Marty. We just need the flux.
We're not just changing time, we're deleting part of our lives.
We lived our lives, Marty. Now let's save everyone else's.
Alrighty, welcome everybody. It's time to go back to the future. Or the past. Well, because now their future is our past now.
So yeah, we gotta go back to the past to save the future
Of the past.
of the past. Yes, that's a little complicated for me right now, buddy.
Well, but I mean that's the first movie, right? Because he goes to the past and has to save the future by repairing the past.
In the past.
In the past.
Yeah, and that's the whole trilogy. That's what is so magical.
That's why the title is so awesome, because I have so much fun. It was actually on an episode of the Final Frontier season 2 that hasn't been released yet, but I actually double checked my tense that I used, like grammatically, because I made a Back to the Future joke. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, because it has to be right, because believe it or not, there is a proper way to say this. You say that, Justin, but I'm writing it, so. with a
Okay,
lot of
so
help.
so we're here today to honor the beautiful and amazing Robert Zemeckis. Probably the one. It's funny how he's not respected as Steven Spielberg, and
It's
because
kinda
Robert
wild.
Zemeckis is, it's kind of wild that he's not like Spielberg or others, right? Because Zemeckis is a god, dude. Everything he does is gold,
His film, I
and he
mean, not
created.
not to take anything away from Steven Spielberg, but
No,
Robert
no, no, of
Zemeckis
course
has
not.
an incredible filmography as well.
Yeah, I mean, even the crazy things that he does because he's him, right? It's still good. I mean, the last movie that he did was unique with Tom Hanks, and he used Jenny. Right? I mean, just for that, he did Forrest Gump. Two people. If you don't know who Robert Zemeckis is, right?
He's one
Imagine
of
that.
those
But
names where a lot of people may not know him by name, but they've seen his movies.
yeah, I mean, what else do you need more than Forrest Gump and Back to the Future trilogy? I mean, you can retire with those two titles.
Well, but I mean, just to name a few, you know,
Lo- Uh, Wilson, and and before we go to the names and we dig dive really good in Back to the Future, the icons that he creates, the phrases, dude, right? How many times we make a joke of it? That's I don't know, Doc. Hey, Doc, right? Or
Doc.
Wi- Wilson. My mama said, like all those things are created by him because he's the writer. People, he's the script writer too, and I think that he's one of those directors that is involved with everything, in the writing, in the editing. So, and next episode I will have a. So I don't want to take interest in what we're talking, but next episode of Toon Talk I will talk about Forrest Gump, how they make it happen, and it's fantastic.
I have a great, it's actually a Bubba Gump story, but it has to do with Forrest Gump and the
But
useless
let's talk
trivia.
about it in the next
Yeah.
one because God, Back to the Future 40 years, right? Anniversary. Isn't that crazy?
No, it's longer than that.
I put 40, so leave me alone. No, it's 40. It's 40.
No,
Dude, I
1985.
Google it. Yeah,
Oh
2025.
yeah, that is 40. I'm sorry, I'm terrible at math. I went to school in the United States.
It's like, dude, you're making me doubt about myself, the internet, my
No,
whole
you're right.
existence.
I'm just bad at math. That American
Okay,
education system.
listen to me. 80
Yeah.
and 5. Anyway,
Yeah, but dude,
uh,
ask me what. I still think 20 years ago was 1987. So just
you know
like,
what? Something happened with COVID that make people erase years in our mind.
no, it's literally just because I think this is honestly a millennial thing. Um,
Okay, I'm listening.
I mean, I think it's everybody to a certain extent, but like it seems to be very much a millennial thing. Like you asked me,
No,
like,
no, no. Let's keep it in millennial stupidity. Please keep going.
well, no, but you see the memes all the time. It's like, no, 20 years ago was 1996.
It's like, dude, it's
No,
crazy.
we're older than we think we are.
You are. I'm not. Fuck off. Oh, sorry. Did I say the F word? The F bomb? What? Read the comments. Read the comments.
Oh, Justin is just saying one of the coolest things I ever did was watch Back to the Future Part 2 in theaters the day Marty went back to the future with a friend of his who had never seen the movie. Dude, exposing people to Back to the Future is one of the greatest things
It's
ever.
it's one of the greatest
It's so
things.
much fun. I've told the story about my nephews before. I'm not going to regale it again, but it's everybody loves them. I've never met anyone that didn't like Back to the Future that's actually seen it.
And you know what? There's a movie that everybody likes because it's a light movie. And we're gonna dig into many things because I gotta really. The other day I received a call of a dear friend that told me you're gonna be proud about me. I'm already proud about you, buddy. I am. And
Is it
today I'm
somebody
gonna.
I
I've
know?
been so excited. Yeah, it's you. Um, reveal the veil. I I'm excited to hear what you're gonna share with us, right? And listen to the first chapter because you've been noodling that so long in your brain that the difference between dream about something and make things happen is doing it, right? And you're taking charge and you want to do it. It's not like we are a little busy. Great timing, Jake. But I just respect the effort, right? Yeah, it's part of what we do. We go crazy and more and
I
more.
know you'll identify with this though, because I think creative people, when you've got something in your head, you have two choices and only one will work. You can let it stay in your head and you won't be able to think about anything else, or you can
Yeah.
output it.
And people like you and me, we need to be doing something to do the other things. It's hard just to focus in one. It's just
Yeah.
hard. Um, I keep forgetting that word live in iHeartRadio and YouTube for all the people over there. Thank you. And I want a course like in the R69 verse, and I'm holding myself. But
Oh, that
uh, be,
reminds me. Tonight's
go
podcast is
ahead.
brought to you by our friends at TikTok and, of course, r69verse.com. We'll touch on both of those in a little bit, but we can go ahead and talk on TikTok now because realistically, I find it funny that TikTok sponsors us because, like, if you're not on TikTok already, what the hell are you doing? Like, you either have a moral stance or live under a rock, and either way, I'm not going to sell you because if you live under a rock, you're not watching this. But if you don't have TikTok yet, you should really join the conversation on TikTok with us. Just use the link in the description and download the app, and you can find our short form content there as well as all of the other podcasts on the RTA Podcast Pantheon, Pantheon Podcast. Download it; it's free.
Do it again.
Do what again?
Download the podcast. Just say download the podcast in a
Just
little
download it.
southern
Just
way.
download that
There you go.
podcast. You hear?
Nice. Good, honey pie. Now let's talk about something really important that just came to my mind before we jump in deep into Back to the Future. You're playing the NFL, 69 verse TikTok. You don't care. You're putting McDonald's and Burger King in the same halftime. Look at you. I'm proud of you. You're going you're going tough. Rebels
Capitalism, baby.
versus institutions. You're the NFL. You're the NFL. Congratulations. All right. So can I make the announcement?
Make it. Go for it.
Or you want to do the announcement?
No, no, go for it.
Can I have a drum roll? So Jake got inspired and decided to write a novel about Back to the Future, the fourth part, the aftermath, I will call it, right? The next chapter of the big three chapters. And I feel so proud of him because he's doing it for the love of the franchise, not to make money. He's doing it because it needs to be said and needs to be done. And today, exclusive on Toon Talk 2.0, gonna shut the hell up and he's gonna read us the first chapter of the book. And I'm so excited
Well,
because we're planning an audiobook.
yep.
We're planning a physical book for you to read. and you're gonna receive an email pretty soon, and a WhatsApp, and he's gonna be sponsored by PSX Nova. But we talk about that later. But tell us about the journey to get here, buddy, because it just not happened yesterday.
No, well, it's funny because I actually mentioned it the last time, which has been some time ago. It was one of the earlier episodes where we talked about Back to the Future on this podcast. And this is not new. I've talked about it across different various podcasts. I've shared how I consider it now canon, at least in my head. Um, Channel Awesome on YouTube many, many years ago. I think it was back in 2015. Um, they created a video that was basically like a concept of what Back to the Future Part 4 could look like and what I feel should look like, obviously. And they acknowledge that like this movie will never be made because it's well known that Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale have said that they have an agreement that no project can move forward without their say so and or involvement. And they basically said we're never going to touch it again. And until I saw this video, I was also a purist like that. I didn't believe the franchise should be touched. But the idea for that story fits in so well and does so many things narratively that are amazing that I went from being a purist to I want this movie. I at least want this story because I know full well the movie will never be made. But I was actually talking to Haley, and it's funny because we're talking about time travel. I did a quick podcast with Haley that was
Haley,
recorded
for what podcast?
from the Part of Your Broadway World podcast, and that episode will actually be released tomorrow, even though it happened first. But that was in the past, and it'll you'll see it in the future. And I was telling her about it because she's also a purist, and I was like, "I'll send you the video. You'll be surprised." But that got me thinking about it again. And I even say in that podcast, it's like I just want the story. I don't care what form it takes. I don't care if it's a comic book or an animated film or a radio drama or I'll even take a novelization. And then I went, hmm. Now I don't want to mince words here. I am not a writer. However, over the past year, I've been working with AI more and more and more. But
Thank you.
but I understand I'm not just gonna give them an outline and have ChatGPT create it all. But what ChatGPT has done is it's given me a skeleton, which is the hardest part because I have an editor brain, not a writer brain. But you give me something, you give me a shell, and I will go in there and nitpick the shit out of it and tweak it. And I'm actually surprised how much I would say, I mean, it's 100% my voice because I changed basically everything. There's like a handful of sentences that were unchanged, but just because I like the sound of them. And I probably would have said it that way anyhow. But I'd say at least 80% is original, but it got me started. I've added complete
Yeah.
scenes, I've added dialogue that I felt helped the characters, and I'm not too proud to say I'm pretty proud of this first chapter because it's pretty solid. And of course, I run it through passes in AI, and it catches grammatical or tense problems, basic stuff, and then I reread it, and then it's funny because as you write something, it sounds great when you write it down, and then you go back a day or two later, and you're like, oh no, that's not how I want to say it. This is how I want to say it. Or
And you know what? Something important is that you are not doing it with AI. AI is your grammatical editor and paste. That's the difference. I
yeah,
know.
that's different. I'm not just
Yeah.
putting this into Chat GPT and telling it, write me a story. No, we're doing it, and we are doing it chapter by chapter, but we have a skeleton. We have an outline with thematic elements. There's a lot of seeds planted in this first chapter that won't even really come to fruition until much later. So
Yeah.
that's what I love about it is much like the movies, you're rewarded the more you pay attention.
Yes. Good. Yeah. I mean, brother, please hit us. Are you ready to do this? Are
I'm
you ready to
ready.
present to the world your vision of what will be Back to the Future 4?
Well, it's already posted on the Arte Media blog, but chapter one is there. But like Max had the idea, I'm sorry, Virus had the idea to create an audio version.
Same difference.
Yeah.
Virus is dying like a virus. The injection is called R69. But I'm gonna mute myself and please.
Well, no, please interject if you have, and I'll pause
I
periodically
will, I
if you
will,
want to
but
add something.
I'm gonna enjoy it. I've been waiting for this moment, so I'm gonna be your audience too today.
Alrighty, well. We have Back to the Future, Part 4, Chapter 1, 1004, which the title of this chapter in and of itself is an Easter egg for all you eagle-eyed people there. The rain had just finished rinsing Hill Valley clean when the sun nudged through the clouds and threw a gold band across the old clock tower. The stone steps looked darker, almost freshly varnished, and the puddles along Main Street mirrored the world like dented chrome. The square breathed, cars idled, a bus wheezed by, laughter drifted from a sidewalk table, and yet it felt like someone had pressed pause on the town years ago and never hit play. A black truck rolled to a stop in front of the courthouse. The paint had seen better days, but it was still in good shape, much like its driver. The door opened, and Marty McFly stepped out onto the curb. He took off his sunglasses, tilting his head to study the clock tower. The hands were still stuck at 10:04. Still busted, he murmured. Figures. Sliding his sunglasses into his jacket pocket, Marty scanned the town square moving around him. The refurbished facades that pretended they hadn't once been aerobic studios, the bakery where a coffee shop had been, the new coffee shop where an antique store had been, the empty pane of glass where someone had taped a help wanted sign and then borrowed the tape back. Marty looked down at his smartwatch. October 21st, 2015, 4:28 p.m. Something in him waited for a rumble, a crackle, a white hot stroke of lightning. He even glanced up at the fresh blue sky as if pleading for someone to break the eerie silence. Funny, Marty thought to himself. I've been so many places, times, Doc would be a stickler for accuracy. I've been to so many different times when I didn't belong, and here I am, right where and when I should be, but I feel like I need to be anywhere but here. Any time but now? His smartwatch buzzed, snapping him out of his thoughts. 4:30 p.m. blinked up at him like a scolding. Right. Schedules, mortality, boxes to pack. With a sigh, Marty climbed back into the black pickup that still smelled like cardboard and citrus cleaner. He glanced one more time at the old clock. Then his eyes returned to his watch, and with a final deep breath, he pulled away from the curb. The radio came alive mid-chorus. Huey Lewis, a newer track Marty had recorded rhythm guitar for in the studio, without credit. It made him smile and wince at the same time. He cracked a Pepsi, sipped, and let Hill Valley unspool on both sides of the windshield like a film he knew by heart but hadn't watched in years. He didn't notice the tire tracks he left behind. Oak Park Cemetery was the opposite of the square. Quiet, precise, a place that asks you to stop and lower your voice. He parked along the lane and walked the familiar lines of granite and grass. It had been 2 weeks since the funeral, and the dirt still hadn't settled fully. It never did, really. The new headstone caught light. George Douglas McFly, 1938 to
Mm.
2015. Beloved husband, father, friend, a match made in space. Marty
Hmm.
exhaled. Everything still felt fresh, so the pain lingered. Marty was somewhat accustomed to it by now, though. After all, this wasn't the first time he'd had to say goodbye to his father. It wasn't even the first time he'd seen his headstone. He brushed rain grit from the marble with the back of his hand. Hey, Dad. The wind shivered through the trees like a memory walking by. He stood there long enough to forget what else he'd planned to say. Then he put his hand on the stone and just nodded. When he turned to go, his eye focused on another headstone set just in the foreground, as if the cemetery had staged the shot for him. Buford Howard Tannen, 1938 to 2011. Make like a tree and grow. For a second, Marty imagined the granite snorted. Biff really had turned his Biff really had turned things around for himself before he died, but Marty was one of the few who understood the irony of the epitaph. He shook it off and headed back to the truck. Lion Estates had aged the way some actors do, beautiful in the middle and tough around the edges. Some lawns were audition ready, others had retired. A familiar mailbox leaned inward as if listening to gossip. At the end of the street, his old house wore a fresh door and paint, with the same soul. Marty's mother, Lorraine, opened the door before he knocked. Her eyes landed on him, softened, and then squinted as if she was ready to pounce. There you are. I was about to call. Did you stop for coffee? You shouldn't drink coffee this late. It's not good for your sleep. You look thin, Marty. Or maybe it's the shirt. Come in, come in, come in. Well, don't hold all comments, but I'll read all comments at the end. Marty let himself be shepherded through the foyer into a living room that had absorbed 3 decades of family noise and somehow kept its shape. Boxes squatted like faithful dogs at the feet of furniture he'd grown up on. On the coffee table lay a copy of his father's first book and a stack of old photos. Prom smiles, birthdays, that one Thanksgiving where the turkey had briefly doubled as a flamethrower. It wasn't the only fire the old house had survived. Marty winced at the memory of his parents bellowing at him next to the remnants of the living room rug he'd set fire to when he was 8 years old. I wonder if George and Lorraine went easier on that version of me, Marty wondered to himself. He supposed not, since he still had a clear and vivid memory of the ordeal. But then again, he remembered his old life too, not the past that had led him to this new life after his first trip in the time machine. Doc never really could explain why Marty's past changed in reality, but not in his memory. Marty hadn't been too concerned about such things then, and Doc wasn't around now to ask. Marty sighed again, wondering whatever became of his old friend. He'd not heard anything from or about Doc since he watched the time train take off into the sky back in 1985. Marty and his mother worked. Packing shared a rhythm with music. Find the groove, respect the rest. Marty wrapped picture frames in newspaper and felt ink leak into his fingertips like time. Every object wanted to tell a story. The trick was not to listen to all of them at once. When they took a break, Lorraine poured tea and seemed to give herself permission to exhale. He kept everything, she said, even the things he didn't like. Your father, he was so sentimental. That's sweet, isn't it? It's sweet, Mom. She studied him over the rim of her mug. You're still in Los Angeles? Yeah. And working? I'm working, he said. Session stuff, studios, sometimes film cues. It's steady, you know? He tried on a shrug that made insecurity look casual. It's not like, it's not like stadiums. You don't need stadiums, she reacted across and squeezed his hand. You need to play. He let that sit in the room and silence filled the air. He'd always wanted other things too. A band that survived the first argument about royalties, a house with a garage full of tools he'd actually use, a kid who looked at the world like it was worth staying up late for. Are you seeing anyone now, Marty? His mother asked with a grin. Marty didn't react immediately. His mind now shifted to the various versions of his future he'd both seen and imagined. He was now in one that he'd never anticipated. It could be much worse. After all, he'd seen some pretty horrible alternatives firsthand, but he never imagined things would turn out this way. Here and there, he finally replied. Nobody special, though. Well, his mother started, I still don't understand why you and Jennifer ever broke up. I always liked her. Lorraine took a sip of her tea, her eyes still locked on Marty. His mother never really had let that one go. He and Jennifer broke up all the way back in '93, after Marty's first big break fizzled out. It was so long ago that Marty couldn't even remember what caused it all to unravel. Maybe the idea of their future was fated. Maybe the idea that their future was fated was too much pressure for a couple of kids in their 20s. Doc had always warned Marty it was dangerous to know too much about your own future. Marty's thoughts continued to echo in his head silently for what seemed like an eternity before his mother's voice brought him back to the present. Are you happy? Lorraine asked, very gently, like a doctor lowering a stethoscope. I'm here, he said, and tried to sell it with a half grin. Hey, we got through the attic. That's got to count for something. She nodded, not fooled, and then remembered her errand. Oh, speaking of counting, Babs called. Her family runs the youth center in the square now. You remember where the old aerobic studio used to be? They have music nights. I told her you'd stop by and teach a few kids a lesson on the guitar this evening. Marty blinked. You told her what? Tonight? They're underprivileged, foster kids mostly. It would be good for you. For you and them. Mom, your father would have loved it. He couldn't argue with a ghost, especially the kind that smiled over a typewriter while a story wrestled itself onto the page. He glanced at the clock and groaned. What time? 7. He blew out his breath. Okay. All right, sure. He put on a grin that was 90% real. I'll give him the old Johnny be good pep talk. You'll give them you, she said, and she landed a big, maternal kiss on his cheek as she got up to keep packing. Eat something before you go.
Okay, that's it.
No, there's more.
Oh, no, no, keep going. I'm loving it. I'm loving
Okay.
it.
Marty parked
Eat
his truck.
something before you go. Keep going.
Eat something before you go. Marty parked his truck in front of the youth center. It felt strange to him. He'd never been to the youth center before, but he'd been inside this very building on this exact same day. In that timeline, it had been the Cafe 80s. He couldn't help but wonder why so many things were different from the 2015 he'd seen first. He then wondered what Lou would have thought about all this. History is a game of musical chairs, and Hill Valley never liked standing still for long. Marty knew that much for certain. The front windows were fogged with fingerprints, and Marty could see kids inside. Guitar case in hand, he closed his truck door and walked to the entrance. Inside, a dozen kids sat with cheap guitars in their laps and cheaper posture. An overworked woman walked up to greet him. Glancing at her name badge, Katie, Marty watched her face change after seeing him. It lit up like relief had finally taken human form. Mr. McFly, thank you for coming. We're so grateful you could. Please, Marty, he said. Mr. McFly is unavailable. He winced. Sorry, bad joke. It's okay, she said,
Hmm.
and lowered her voice. They're good kids, not great at showing it. A lot of foster placements, some group homes, a couple no shows. They were a little excited when I told them a real musician was coming. She looked at his hands, the calluses where calluses always lived. Think you can manage? I've been thrown into worse rooms than this, he said, thinking about the enchantment under the sea dance. This would be a piece of cake by comparison. He shouldered his case. All right, gang, let's make some noise. Thank you, Justin. Actually, you will be able to relatively soon. He said I would definitely listen to an audiobook read by Jake.
We're working on that.
Yeah, it's
And,
coming.
and it's coming. It's coming. He was. He just have 3 radio books in the pipeline.
Right,
We'll
I
get there.
know,
We'll
right?
get there.
He started with a few open chords and a dumb joke about blisters. Someone snorted. Someone else actually played in tune. Fingers found strings, then frets, then a shape that could pass for a C major if you didn't ask it to show ID. Marty cloaked the theory inside story, how he'd learned a lick by watching an older kid in the neighborhood, how rhythm is just a heartbeat with manners, how you have to let your mistakes finish their sentence before you correct them. He made it fun because he knew how to make it fun, and because their faces were armored in skepticism, he wanted to open just enough to let air in. The kids started getting into it. All except one. In the back, in a plastic chair with a hairline crack starting at the corner and reaching the spine, a kid with a storm cloud haircut was taking apart his guitar. Literally. The pick guard lay on his thigh like a shell, and he was staring into the cavity like it might reveal the secret to life itself. Marty drifted the room, letting muscle memory do the teaching, and arrived at the kid without seeming to arrive. That a vintage model? He asked softly. The kid glanced up, eyes like midnight looking for a reason to be mourning. He went back to the screws. No answer. You planning on playing it? Or just see if it fails your inspection? A little shrug. It's it's out of intonation. That's so. We'll join the club, Marty nodded at the room. Everyone here is out of intonation tonight. A flash of a smile, blink and you'd miss it. Then the face closed again. He had the back plate off now and was peering into the spring claw like it owed him money. Marty went on, easy. What's your name? The kid hesitated. Across the room, somebody groaned, Don't tell him! Space gun! and a chorus of snickers followed. Hey, Katie snapped. Enough. The kid's hands went still at the phrase. I'm sorry. The kid's hands went still at the phrase space gun. Marty filed away. The kid looked back up, guarded. Doesn't matter, he said. I'm sorry, Marty filed it away. The kid looked up. The kid looked back up, guarded. Doesn't matter, he said. Marty was suddenly overcome by a feeling inside him that said he was where he should be at that exact moment, as if his future had something to do with it. He thought of Seamus describing that feeling back in 1885. Marty understood all too well what Seamus had been talking about back then. His memory then flashed back to the day he first met Doc. It was the only other time in his life he'd had that same feeling. A desperate hunt for replacement interocitor tubes turned into a life-changing friendship across time. Marty had never really understood why Doc Brown had been so kind to a random kid snooping around his lab. He'd always chalked it up to Doc being happy to have someone to talk to about his theories and experiments. Now, though, Marty began to think maybe Doc had the same instinct all those years ago. Regardless of the why, he knew that he needed to talk with this boy. It matters to me, Marty said, kneeling down to the boy's level. He kept his tone sanded, smooth. But we can start with something else. You like games? The kid glanced up, unsure. Games? Come on, Marty nodded. Come on. Marty nodded at the battered arcade cabinet in the corner. Buki shooter. The paint flaked off 3 rebrands ago. 5-minute break, guys. Hydrate your fingers. He fed the machine a quarter that had traveled in his wallet next to guitar picks and a couple of lint ghosts. He let the kid take the first round. The boy's hands changed the second they were near levers and lights, intent, precise, a little hungry. They played silently, side by side, and the neon carousel voice congratulated them on a high score that probably wasn't high. Where'd you learn to take apart guitars? Marty asked. The boy said
Hmm.
nothing, just kept looking forward, as if he was trying to come up with the correct words. I didn't know. I just wanted to see how it worked, the kid said finally. Just wanted to know, Marty echoed, as if it were a lab discipline. Where are you from, kid? The boy's jaw clenched. Hill Valley, he said, in a way that felt true, but left out the whole story. Before Marty could press further, Katie called time. Kids scraped chairs, sighed at chords they hadn't mastered, tried to outswagger they hadn't earned. The boy started to reassemble his guitar with a clipped efficiency that made Marty want to say, It's okay, take your time. Time won't bite you. He thought better of that second part. He knew all too well how hard time could bite. Marty crouched down again to speak to the kid. Listen, he said, softer. If you ever want to, I don't know, talk guitars or game scores or anything, I'm around for a couple days. A nod, quick and hard, like the kid didn't want to jar whatever was fragile inside his rib cage. Then he was up, shouldering the guitar like it weighed nothing and everything. The door opened to night and bus headlights. The kids poured out like water flowing downhill. The boy didn't look back. Marty stood there for a second longer than made sense. He still couldn't shake that odd feeling, but he knew better than to ignore it. Katie drifted over, rubbing her eyes the way you do when the day doesn't believe in clocks. That one, she said, and nodded at the kid. We picked him up a week ago. Cops found him in the outskirts. Long road, no houses, driving a car that looked like it never belonged. He doesn't talk to the other boys. Barely talks to me. He wouldn't even tell me his name, Marty said. She grimaced. They've been teasing him. You heard it. Space gun? He told someone something about it, and they haven't stopped mocking him since. What'd he say? That a space gun brought him here. She rolled her eyes, then softened. He's scared. They all are, but he's different. Like he's listening to something only he can hear. Marty's pulse ticked up. That description hit a little too close to home. He relaxed his face, nodded, thanked her, and made his way to the door. He only knew one other person he could describe that way himself. The boy did seem awfully familiar. But it couldn't be. Could it? Marty thought to himself. He stepped out into the night and headed back to his truck. Sorry, hydration. Hey,
Come on, you
Einstein.
can.
I'm
Oh,
going, I'm going. He didn't sleep. He tried, sprawled in his old room. It still smelled faintly of poster tack and laundry that never fully dried. The street lamp threw a familiar trapezoid light across the ceiling. He let his eyes wander the edges, tried to trace the exact route his thoughts used to take when he was 17 and sorting through what the future might want from him. That was the thing about memory. It's elastic until it snaps. He got up, the closet door stuck for a second, and then sighed like inside its old sigh. Boxes made their sound, cardboard murmuring to itself. He slid one out, then another. The flotsam of a former life greeted him, a skate wheel, a cassette with the handwritten label had worn off. Now it just said Edward Van Ha, a photo of a girl with big eyes and even bigger hair, kissing his cheek and looking straight at the camera. Jen. He breathed out, low. The ache was old and domesticated, but it could still bare its teeth if you looked at it too long. Guess Mom's not the only one that can't let that one go, Marty said to himself. At the bottom of the second box lay a frame he knew by touch before he saw the picture. He pulled it out. It was a photo of he and Doc in 1885 in front of the clock tower dedication, both of them looking as if the world had just told them a secret they couldn't keep. The mustaches in the background alone could have won awards. Doc, he said into the quiet darkness of his room. What had happened to him? Marty thought about it from time to time over the years. He wanted to believe that he lived out the rest of his days in 1885 with Clara, Jules, and Vern. He had no reason to think otherwise. After Doc disappeared in 1985, everyone just assumed he'd gone off on some loony research project and never came back. Marty never corrected anyone. He always kept an eye out for the last name Brown, but that name's far too common to be a smoking gun on its own. Plus, he figured Doc destroyed the time machine just like he said he would upon returning to 1885. He doubted 130 years later Doc's great grandchildren would recognize the name Marty McFly. Marty felt something beneath the frame, something small, metal, and stubborn. He curled his fingers around it and lifted it into the light. A key. Not just any key. A key for an ignition that shouldn't exist anymore. Marty stood there, holding it like a note bent between chords. His heartbeat did the math. Part of him said, "Don't." Another part said, "You know what to do." He put the frame back, and he pocketed the key. The Hill Valley Police impound lot lived in that liminal space towns create for their unresolved stories. Chain link fences, lights that buzz like insects, a security booth that tried to look awake but failed. Marty parked in the shadow of an old warehouse and listened. The night was quiet, but he knew deep down that something was in that lot that did not belong there. He scaled the fence with determination of a decision already made, quickly, before you could talk yourself out of it. On the other side, rows of confiscated cars sat under tarps like witnesses in a blanket fort. He moved through them, counting heartbeats, listening for dogs. He didn't need the key to feel heavy in his pocket to know where he was going. He just knew. And there it was. And then there it was. Not under a tarp, not under anything. Sitting in a puddle of light as if it had parked there on purpose and told the lamps to cooperate. Stainless steel skin catching the world in soft reflections. Gull wing doors closed like ideas waiting for the right question. Mr. Fusion's dome gleamed with a kind of menace only a tech you trusted could wear. The DeLorean. Marty stopped moving. His breath left, came back, did a loop that would have made a good roller coaster. He took a step, another. The lines of the car rewrote the air as he got closer. He reached out his hand, not quite touching, fingers hovering the way you hover your hand over a campfire to remind yourself you're alive. This is heavy, he whispered. and it wasn't a joke this time. Something flickered in the corner of his eye.
I love it.
A sticker on the windshield from the impound office, a smeared number, a note that meant nothing and everything. He circled to the rear and popped open Mr. Fusion the exact way he'd done before. The lid lifted. Inside, nothing but expectation. He pulled the plastic bag of garbage from his jacket, candy wrappers, coffee grounds, a crumpled receipt from the youth center vending machine, two bottle caps, the Pepsi can and its remaining contents. He had had a feeling he was going to need all of it. Marty started dumping the contents of the bag. The silence was broken. Barking. One dog, then two, then three. A braiding of sound bearing down the row. Floodlights banged to life, a hard white that made the DeLorean skin look like armor. The alarm wailed, late to the story but eager to make up for it. Marty snapped his head towards the fence. Shadows moved. The security booth flared red and then blue. He looked back at the DeLorean and at the open Mr. Fusion. At the key in his pocket, the impossible crouched in front of him. He dumped the rest of the bag's contents, then the bag itself. The growl of the dogs swelled, claws scraping against asphalt, getting louder and louder as they closed in. Marty's hand found the driver's handle without looking. It was an old friend, after all. He yanked the door up, the gullwing gasped. He slid into the seat and fit exactly as he remembered. The interior smell punched him in the chest. He had already gone back in time without turning the ignition. His fingers found the familiar switches and levers, the battered glory of the time circuits. He breathed once, hard. The dogs were almost at the door now. A guard shouted something Marty couldn't hear, but he believed the authority. Marty felt the key like a held breath. He flicked his gaze to the time circuits. Last time departed winked in and out, scrambled letters trying to behave. October 16th, 1935, 7:02 p.m. The readout hiccuped and glitched, disappearing and reappearing just like Marty's hope at getting out of there. He smacked it with his hand because some rituals aren't superstition, they're code. The barking dogs hit the door. The DeLorean shook. Okay, he said to nobody, making his final decision. Another shout, footsteps, radios coughing into life. Marty's hand closed around the key, and the shape of it told his fingers who he was again. He hesitated just long enough to know he was hesitating. Lightning without a storm, a clock that thought it could freeze time by refusing to move. He turned the key, and the DeLorean came awake with a sound that history had written. I'm sorry. And the DeLorean came awake with a sound that history had written for it and only it. Marty tightened his grip on the wheel and stepped on the gas. To be continued.
Nice, buddy. That's good. Good writing. I wish I could speak English, but it sounds good. No, it sounds good. Now I want to know, when is the second chapter coming?
The second chapter will be released on November 5th
Nice. It's just going well.
because that's
Uh,
the day
uh,
of Future Day.
oh, really? How come?
Because that's the day that Doc Brown invented time travel.
Oh, nerd. I think it's pretty cool, man, what you're doing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think
But
that is kind of cool. It's cool what you're doing, man.
thank you. But now it's your turn to talk and tell everybody about R69 verse.
I don't know, man. I think you got all this done. I'm good with it. I'm just kidding. Everyone else, everyone in the world, in the universe, we create a new universe for you to be part of it. It's a rebellion about the normal patterns and the normal way of music and entertainment is consumed. So we create our 69 verse, celebrating the 25 years of the original band, our Ruta 69. Uh, I invite you to go there, open a free profile, right? See how you feel about it. If you like it, then pay the other one. If you are in Europe, right? Or you planning to go to Europe next summer, that's pretty cool. You can get a full subscription of 26 euros for the whole year of access, and we get you a free ticket for our tour. So, or if you want a VIP access, well, you pay 56 euros. That's nothing, to be honest. And you have a VIP.
Annually, yeah.
annually. Yeah, it's just one payment, and that would include a VIP access to the floor, right in the studio. In the concert that is at 360 concert in the stadium, and we're really excited because the our first single is November 15. The name of the song is "You're Okay." I love it, to be honest with you. And now it's hard because we have already um, in December 15 gonna release a special song for Christmas. January we're releasing January 15 we're releasing Not Today, that I think is a super fun song. And then February 14 celebrating the you know the February 14th, the love day, if you will. We we're gonna release Mesmerize Me, that is a love song, next to another song, right? And I'm really excited, Jake, because as people are being so reactive and supportive, we were able to bring the Philharmonic Orchestra in Austria, directed by Jonathan, a dear friend of ours, to be part of two songs in the album so far. And you're gonna be able to listen to Mesmerize Me. But you might say, "Hey, why don't you pay for this?" Well, because these are tracks that you're not gonna find in other social media, and you're talking about another concert live over there, and more than 53 more songs of all our career. So if you want to listen to all the tracks, the unreleased tracks, B-sides, demos, our podcast that we have that is totally unleashed, if you will, right? Where you can share, talk to us, go to the polls. You have so many things. The radio drama from the Forgettable Note, uh, interviews, music videos on release, studio time. There's so much content there that is going to the extra mile. And again, you can go to TikTok, Instagram, follow us there, and get a little taste of what it is. And I know you're gonna do it because let's be honest, uh, who's gonna give you any artist for 56 euros, right? Like at $50 a year. What is that? $4 a month, something like that. Uh, a full access to everything plus a full concert in a stadium live. Now, you might say, "Hey, I'm in America and I want to buy the thing, but I don't have money to go," right? Guess what? If you buy the ticket, you're gonna have a exclusive signal that you're gonna be able to see it live from your house. And then if you buy it, you're not gonna see the one that you pay for it. You're gonna be able to see live. We're not When you see it live, right? We're not gonna have it in any places completely. It's just for you to see it there. Gonna have cuts from the best of all the tour, but you want to see the show, right? And you're in Oklahoma, Mexico, Argentina, right? Or any parts of America. Well, you pay for your ticket. It's your digital ticket. You will receive with our amazing PSX Nova technology. You will receive a link to your email, and you click with the date, and guess what? You are there in the studio. I mean, I keep saying studio, in the stadium, right? Same in the studio when we're recording in
I
January.
was gonna say
But
technically you get both, but
you get both. So it's important that you're getting inside our universe. It's not just a normal, "Hey, watch the video on YouTube, have fun with it." No, because we listen to you. What song we're gonna release first? What song, right? Maybe you guys want to listen to Mesmerize Me in January, right? And we listen to you guys. You got direct chats with us. You can be part of we're gonna I'm gonna announce this. I know Shred wanted to do it, but I'm gonna beat him on this because we're before the other podcasts. Are you ready? Every concert, 1,000 fans that they pay a prime ticket will be free invited to the sound check and perform an acoustic songs. Meanwhile, they're building the stage for us, and I think that's super cool. That's behind the scenes, behind the scenes. 1,000 for each concert. Every concert is the smallest concert is 23,000. The biggest is 83,000. So 1,000 is pretty cool.
so
Yeah,
behind the scenes, it's like it's in front.
yeah, because it's a 360 stadium. You want to tell a little bit about the stage
It's a circle. It's like a circle.
that goes in the middle of the stadium, so you can see anywhere? And you want to talk about the holograms? We created, thanks to PSX Nova and our company Force and Corp. You're gonna be able the band is interacting with holograms. So you're just not seeing your band playing, you're just not seeing, we actually giving you a whole full show. And again, remember, when you buy it, and if you're in Europe, you can go to the concert. Your ticket includes that. But if you're not in that location and you're in Italy and we're playing in Prague, right? You're gonna receive a link that you're gonna be able to watch it live, streaming live, in a cool way. Don't you think it's gonna be somebody with an iPhone? It's gonna be like good thing. So just right now, I just got a notification for our engineers. Right now, look at that. I just got a notification that if you go right now to our website, you're gonna have a surprise. That you can have an amazing surprise. Just go there, click on the verse, and you're gonna have a big surprise to everyone that goes right now. Yes, Justin, you can go right now. r69verse.com. You're gonna have an awesome surprise. Thank you, everyone. Right, we matched the time. You guys are awesome. Thank you, iHeartRadio. Thank you, YouTube, to give us always a space to do what we love. And don't forget to watch the podcast in the channel. What channel are we in the podcast? In Pantheon?
Pantheon podcast, yes.
Pantheon podcast in YouTube. Go and check the podcast of R69, The Verse, right? Check it out. We're there a little bit, and then we invite you to come to our private, for our private members. And it was the shit go reals. For
Yes,
reals.
and wow, I had a thought here. Oh yeah, for recommendations, it should be obvious. Just go
Dude,
watch
we
Back
don't
to the
even have to say
Future. Yeah,
1, 2, and 3. There's no more. And if you're really hardcore fans, watch the cartoon and watch the game. Play
there's
the game.
comics, play the game. Yep, there's plenty you can do.
I didn't
Watch the
even
musical. I need to watch the
You know
musical
what?
still.
I'm dying to watch the musical.
Haley sent me a painting tutorial.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I don't know if Haley's look watching right now, but miss you, sis. Let's talk soon, right? Let's make another podcast together soon. Thank you for everyone to be here. Thank you, Jakey Boy. Another Toon Talk went fast. Congratulations in this new book. Let's keep pushing forward and let's deliver. Back to the future.